Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's a delight to be stood here following what was possibly the best Christmas present I've ever received, with no shade to my parents or husband, but when I got the call from Treasury on December 23rd, it was more than we'd ever hoped for in terms of raising the threshold on agricultural property relief and business property relief. So I'm grateful to the Chancellor and the Prime Minister and colleagues for navigating the genuinely tricky balance between ensuring the farming industry is not used to avoid tax, while still ensuring our family farms are protected and encouraged to thrive, and to protect our food security in increasingly turbulent times internationally. And can I also put on record a huge thanks to my colleagues in the Labour Rural Research Group, which I'm delighted to have become Treasurer of today as we regrouped on our next plans. In pushing for this change, they have shown me the collegiate constructive politics I always hoped was possible for this country under the solid leadership of the impressive member for Suffolk Coastal. One of the things I was most excited for in standing as a Labour MP, Madam Chair, in a rural area was learning more about the land and the farming industry that had been all around me growing up. It was challenging to have to start those conversations among such heated debate, for sure, but I got into politics because I like a robust discussion. And you know what? It allowed us to quickly move past the niceties and talk frankly from the beginning about what really mattered to farmers and farming communities and to family businesses. And let me tell you, it has been a joy to hear the passion, the history, the deep pride in this country, its traditions and what our land and close-knit communities provide for us from the voices of families who are motivated to keep it going in a way that money alone could never inspire. We've had a lot of discussion in recent years in this country about what it means to be British. A More in Common poll found last year that of all the things British people are proud of, the countryside came in second, with only the NHS ahead of it. And there's a lot of decisions to be made about the role of agriculture in British society. I'm grateful to Minette Batters for producing in her farming profitability review a brave and system-wide approach to the future of farming in this country, and I hope the government are bold enough to take on all of her recommendations. We also have trade deals to negotiate which must uphold the same standards that we rightly hold our farmers to, and indeed they want to uphold, without being undercut from abroad. We've also had lots of discussions about things like 15-minute cities and sustainable economies. Well, most rural towns and villages are 15-minute cities. Everything in one place, everyone helping each other out. I know globalisation flavours agglomeration and the urban, but let's not forget who did circular economies first, our rural towns and villages, and let's learn from them now as much as we ask them to learn from the things we do in this place. So when we talk about what it means to be British, in light of this finance bill which sets the tone for what we want British growth to be in the next decade, let's make sure we protect what makes us want to be British. I don't want to be prosperous in this country at any cost. I want to be prosperous in a truly British way. Both myself and the public are clear. That includes the countryside and our rural economies and communities at the very heart of who we are. And so I thank the government for their continued work on both adapting this bill with Amendment 24 and looking more widely at how we improve and sustain support for farming in the long term. I have 829 farms in my Ribble Valley constituency, mainly dairy and cattle, with a wide range of innovation and diversification too. One farm I visited has a value of around 3 million and told me of how they'd slowly seen farm after farm close in their part of their constituency in the past 20 years. These new changes mean they have confidence now that the farm can be passed on to a fifth generation, and they are also confident to invest in a new calf housing supported by other government funding. And I question how many farmers, those on the benches opposite, have actually spoken to in recent weeks, because most of my farmers are happy with these changes and want me to now focus on other critical issues. Because that particular farm has seen a 9.5 pence drop per litre in what they were paid for milk since last October. So while I welcome the tax policy in this bill as it now stands, I do remind the government that there is still a huge amount of work to do to ensure farms are sustainable and that our food security is robust. I hope the government will work with us to put increasing pressure on supermarket shareholders to play their part as companies who thrive from British custom by working much harder to protect the lifeblood of our economy as farmers are, as well as their pockets. Yes. Great.
Thank my honourable friend for giving way. It's been an absolute pleasure working with the Labour Rural Research Group, and to see the difference that it actually makes when you have serious conversations behind the scenes, talking to Treasury, talking to ministers. And I met with over 100 of my farmers in the last 12 months who were all incredibly concerned about the changes we were making, and we had serious conversations about what we needed to do, listening to their problems. And while they're all incredibly pleased with the changes, would she agree that for decades our farmers and our farming communities have struggled? They might have farms worth lots and lots of money, but to be profitable is more important. And would she agree that they're the changes we need to be making?
I completely agree, and that's why it's disappointing that details are being looked at on the other side, when actually all our farmers that I'm speaking to are desperately wanting us to focus on the next stages of how we support those farms now, because we've done the thing we need to do to protect the smallest one. I will give way.
Honourable Member for giving way, and she's speaking about the Labour Rural Group. Will they all stand with us about rejecting Ukrainian eggs coming into the UK that are undercutting British farmers, and see that we can end this as well then?
Important point that he raises, and I know that we've been speaking about that with ministers, so I think it's an important conversation that we absolutely have to have, yes. Another of my farms belongs to a constituent who was one of the first to reach out to me and meet me in London. I have spoken about his farm in previous debates. His farm is a partnership between husband, wife and mother, and he would have faced a liability of £130,000 when their mother passed away in coming years under the original plans, but thanks to Government Amendment 24, this liability is now completely removed and allows them to focus on profitability going forward. I also have a significant number of family-owned businesses in my constituency, including Massey Feeds, who happen to also supply the agricultural sector. They made a really strong point to me when I met with them last year, that if they'd had to downscale to afford the original proposed changes to BPR, their main option would be to sell one of their 3 sites to a foreign-owned competitor. Now, while of course we welcome foreign investment in this country, it does nothing for our sovereignty or growth or an innovation to have the proceeds of the hard work of British-built companies end up as profits in other countries. So I was delighted to hear from owner Kind Massey after the announcement in December, who thanked this government for listening and for adapting the thresholds of BPR. He told me that this recent change now means that they have the confidence to continue to invest, including a £2 million investment to grow capacity of their site in my constituency. And finally, Gaysgill Farm in my constituency has been in the same farm for 500 years and has an estimated value of just over £4 million, employing 39 full-time equivalents through its organic farm, its award-winning restaurant, 8 at Gaysgill, which I recommend to everyone visiting Lancashire to try out as the best farm-to-fork experience in the country, and its growing farm shop. Emma and Ian, who run Gaysgill, are the perfect example of ambitious and innovative company owners working hard to regenerate and bring new employment and tourism to parts of Lancashire that will really benefit from new investment. These new changes to APR allow them to push ahead with that investment, including building a new farm shop later this year. If we are serious about supporting small businesses across our regions, and if we are serious about local sustainable economies, and if we are serious about improving the health of this country, then farms like Gaysgill are exactly the type of companies we should be supporting to grow. And so I wholly support Government Amendment 24 to ensure significant protection and support for business owners like Emma and Ian and all the incredible farms in Ribble Valley constituency who I'm so proud to represent.